What's up, guys? My name is Khan and we're back today in Scrap Mechanic, and after playing Scrap Mechanic for many hours now, I've realized the one thing that I don't actually have for any sort of use is a vanilla flyer of my own. So every time we need to go someplace, or every time we're playing multiplayer Monday, I always end up spawning this thing right here, which I've called the ridiculous scooter. In reality, this is actually the one of the original Brent Batch flyers. He gave me this one a long time ago, and of course it's got all sorts of infinite stability glitches. It's got the infinite stabilizer there in the back, and then just two thrusters, one to go up and one to go forward, and then of course using a suspension glitch to steer. And this thing is still very useful. Obviously it's very small. It's extremely stable, being super small. It's kind of nice to go places. But you know, Scrapman, whenever we play multiplayer, he always spawns his own vanilla flyers because we don't use mods in multiplayer. And I thought, man, I really need my own vanilla flyer to play with in multiplayer. And oh, okay. No, now you're sensing that one. Perfect. And so we'll look at those two in a second. The green one is the one that I'll probably be spawning on a regular basis, just because you see the purple one floats around. I started working on a vanilla flyer, and I decided, you know what would be really cool would be to take a vanilla flyer and put a couple of gyros in it. And that's what this thing is. So this is the sort of first iteration of the vanilla flyer, and you can see here we've got two gyros in it. Now, the reason there's two of them instead of just having one is because these gyros actually control individual axes. So you can see here, the bearings on this back gyro control the roll, so it can only tilt left and right. And the bearings on this front gyro control the pitch, so it can only tip forward and backwards. Now this flyer here, this is sort of the prototype, we'll call it. You know, it works. It flies forward, backwards. I think we can pitch up. How do we? I don't remember the controls. 2 and 3 are roll left, roll right, and then 4 is pitch down and 5 is pitch up. So you can see we can actually fully control the vehicle, and you can see the gyros there doing their thing and sensing the angles we're at. But the reason this one had two gyros and then a switch is, in theory, we were supposed to be able to hit one, and when we did that, it would activate the gyro stabilization, and eventually it would stabilize us. But of course, it didn't work very well, and there are a few reasons this one didn't work very well. Yeah, no, perfect. It was good. That was good stabilization. Good job. The main reason that this thing didn't work very well is that the gyros are really small and they don't have a lot of weight on them. And so you can see, you might be able to see it when we hit the controls. If we hit them quick enough, you can actually, just by using the thrusters, throw the gyro off tilt. You can see there, actually, look at the roll gyro going crazy. So the roll gyro there in the middle already says we're rolled at an extreme angle. It thinks this is straight, right? And I don't know why it did that. It just always seemed to do that with this one. I think I have the engine speed turned up a little too high. But anyway, so now look, if we hit one, okay, no, they actually align themselves. But you can see the gyro really not working as well as you would expect it to. Definitely not working as well as the gyro on, like, for example, the blimp or the giant cargo plane. But of course, I was trying to make a much smaller gyro, and I was playing around with it. And, you know, I like the design of this ship. I think it looks really cool. And the two gyro system there, you can see, like, both completely off tilt now, of course, because we hit the ground. And really just not a very functional vehicle. But I did revise it, so the idea behind that one is that you could fly normally as a vehicle, do barrel rolls, all sorts of things, but whenever you wanted, you could hit the one switch, and the gyros would then take over all the controls, and they would put you back on the point where you needed to be. And I thought, you know, that was pretty cool, but not really practical, mainly because the sensors on the gyro point weren't as accurate as I would have liked them to have been, and it needed a bit more controls that I just didn't have. So I took that version and I transformed it into this, and this is the same thing, except the stabilization for the gyros is always on. It never shuts off. So you can see we've got these sensors here, as well as this one in the front, which are actually picking up the ground, and that's what's activating these thrusters, just to make sure it never touches the ground, trying not to throw the gyro off. And if we get in the controls here, you see we only have 2 buttons this time, so the sensors are automatically on. You can see as we rotate, it's automatically adjusting our pitch, and it's adjusting our roll based on the gyro position, so that we're always level with the ground. And then if we hit 1, it'll activate those thrusters constantly, so we can go up. And if we hit 2, it'll deactivate all the thrusters, so we can go down. So it naturally will sink a little bit. It naturally wants to drop a little bit, but of course if you press 2 or just tap it, you'll increase the speed that you fall at. So it's pretty good. I really like this vehicle, and of course we can just, you know, fly this around. So this would be a gyro controlled vanilla flyer. You see, I'm just flying, and it'll bob a little bit, of course, but it should adjust itself if we let off all the controls here. Eventually it should level itself out pretty decently. But again, just like with the previous one, the gyros on this are still relatively small, and it does have a tendency, I've noticed, especially with the pitch controls, to slowly work its way to be pitched forward for some reason. I don't know why. The bigger gyros that I make seem to stay a lot more stable, but these small ones definitely don't as much. But a relatively reasonable flyer. I mean, I don't mind it. It works pretty well, and you know, you can just fly around the map, and eventually we can stop here. Eventually, there we go. It'll eventually stop. It'll calm down. There we go. You can see eventually it does relax there. It gets back. But even slightly, you can tell that we're not exactly perfectly level anymore. The gyros do get slightly off axis, and, you know, we're back in that same situation. And so I really like this flyer. I think it's cool. I will upload it to the workshop, of course. These gyros, but, you know, let's take a look at this on the lift, actually, just so we can tell. All they are really is just some small pipe pieces. You can see these 2 small pipe X's. And I feel like there's got to be a better way to make a lightweight spinning disc. Well, not really lightweight, I guess, but like a small spinning disc that gives you a better gyroscopic force. I mean, these ones aren't really that good. They do work. They keep themselves level. But they're really not as good as, you know, the bigger ones, for example. So I'd really like, if you guys know of a way to make these 2 gyros smaller, let me know in the comments down below. I could just swap out these wheels pretty much anytime I want. I wonder if using actual wheels would make it better. I don't know, maybe. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. It is still a pretty decent flyer. It will eventually stabilize itself. But, you know, you can see there, it does have that sort of bucking effect where it'll, you know, it'll tilt in one direction and then tilt back in the other, just like a bull at a rodeo. So, really, a cool flyer, but not exactly what I was thinking for spotting in multiplayer. And so what I did is I took this flyer and I basically cut the entire front end off. This is the exact same version of that flyer, a little bit of modifications to the thrusters, except you can see there is no longer any gyros on it, and this is a completely manual flyer. But this is definitely what I'm going to start spotting when I'm playing multiplayer and all sorts of things. It's just really, really functional. I love the way it flies. I think it looks really cool. I mean, you know, it's a pretty decently looking flyer, I think, just for what it needs to be. And of course, you know, super stable. We can easily just stop this wherever we want. Tilt it down a little bit, you know, adjust ourselves. Oh, adjust yourselves this way. And just, you know, really just a fun flyer to use. I am a huge fan of this thing. I think it's great. You know, I know Scrapman, every time we play multiplayer, he's always spawning his flyers to check out the course and stuff, and, you know, to get from point A to point B. And I'm just glad now to have my own sort of, you know, con original flyer that I can spawn and use. And there's no bearings or moving parts on this. The gyro flyer obviously has bearings and stuff, but this one, no bearings at all, no moving parts, just a really, basically a flying brick, but really functional, and it'll be really, really easy for me to get around, especially in multiplayer situations, and you know, just do front flips, because why not, right? Let's just do, oh, no, tilt up, okay, yeah, no, and, oh, that was my bad. I will upload this one to the workshop as well. You know, I think the gyroscopic flyer is cool, although it's really just one of those sort of, here's a cool novelty piece. It's not exactly a very functional device to use. This flyer obviously much more usable as I'm struggling to control it here. There we go. Just really easy to get places. Now, I have built vanilla vehicles before, vanilla flying vehicles especially. But the thing with all the vehicles that I've built before that are vanilla is, well, number one, usually they have a lot of wasted space with like wings and stuff to try and look like some sort of a plane. And this is just really a compact design. You can see all the thrusters are nice and tight to the body. And then, of course, just a little bit of detailing, but really not too much. And then the second thing with all the vanilla flyers I've built before is a lot of the vanilla flyers I've built before, they do use suspension glitches for some sort of the steering, whether it's the pitch controls, the yaw, or something like that. And I really don't want to use any suspension glitches in this creation, just to make it, you know, super lag free, super functional, and, you know, just such a great brick. So you can just drop it, it just sits like a brick, and really, you know, got the extra 2 seats in case we have friends or whatever. But just my favorite vanilla vehicle, I think, out of all the flyers I've ever built, and definitely something that's needed. I mean, after all this multiplayer we've done, finally I'll have something that I can, oh, no, okay. Make sure, of course, you guys let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm a big fan of this thing. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I wasn't trying to make it look like anything in particular. It just kind of looks like a little bit of a spaceship or something, but I'm a pretty big fan of it. I think it's a cool little flyer, and I think it'll be super useful for me to have in multiplayer, especially because, you know, we do continue to do that. And it's nice to, you know, have your own creation to fly rather than someone else's. So definitely let me know what you guys think, and while you're at it, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see y'all next time.